And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks so much for being with us here. What we want to do, we want to get back into some of these headlines emanating out of the Middle East after the news last night that Israel finally retaliated against Iran for Iran's October 1st attack against it here. This is how this was confirmed. The IDF told us that this was taking place. Daniel Hagari there with the IDF making this announcement. This was from yesterday. If you haven't seen it, let's replay it.
We have concluded the Israeli response to Iran's attack against Israel. We conducted targeted and precise strikes on military targets in Iran, thwarting immediate threats to the state of Israel. The Israel Defense Forces has fulfilled its mission. If the regime in Iran were to make the mistake of beginning a new round of escalation, we will be obligated to respond. Our message is clear. All those who threaten the state of Israel and seek to drag the region into wider escalation will pay a heavy price. We demonstrated today that we have both the capability and the resolve to act decisively, and we are prepared on offense and defense to defend the state of Israel and the people of Israel.
All right, so in response to that and the attack itself, Iran, the foreign ministry there, saying it would respond to the airstrikes, calling them a clear violation of international law as it asserted Tehran's right to self-defense here. Let's bring into the conversation our friend there at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Jonathan Schanzer. He joins me. Jonathan, good to see you, and thanks for being with us on this Saturday. I know you've been on TV a lot in the last 24 hours talking about this attack by Israel against Iran, this retaliation here, this response. You called it modest on social media. What did you mean by that?
Well, we didn't see strikes against nuclear facilities. We didn't see strikes against energy facilities. We did not see strikes against Iranian leadership. I'm not even sure we saw anything against the intelligence community. That we've heard at least some reports that there may have been one target. I'm not sure that that's even the case. Across the board, it's been confirmed that the vast majority, if not all, were military in nature. In other words, they didn't go bigger. They weren't trying to deprive the regime of resources. They weren't trying to knock out the nuclear program. What it seems they did last night was take out a large number of air defense targets so that if Israel does need to go back into Iran, they can do so with less risk. And there may have also been a few attacks along the way in places like Iraq and Syria. At least we've heard that they were booms. Those booms may have been the air defense systems from the Iraq or Syrian military trying to take out Israeli jets along the way. But we saw those taken out. The other thing that we know that the Israelis took out were ballistic missile production facilities. And that's important as well because the Israelis appear to have now arrested the regime's ability to produce more of those ballistic missiles that the regime has fired now on two different occasions, once in mid-April and again another time in early October. They now have a limited ability to produce. They may actually not even have any ability to produce additional ballistic missiles. That means that whatever they have right now, they're going to have to be much more careful about how they use them. And so what the Israelis have done is they've limited the regime's ability to fire ballistic missiles and to defend themselves. That seems like a big achievement to me, but it's modest when you think about all of the other targets that the Israelis had to choose from before striking last night. It could have been much bigger. There could have been a lot more destruction. I think the message from Israel is, look, we just did quite a bit here, but it could have been quite a bit more. And now the ball's in the Islamic Republic's court.
So, Jonathan, though, for those in Israel, maybe here stateside, who wanted Israel to do more to put the pressure on Iran, were they disappointed? Should they be disappointed? Obviously, the Biden administration worked in tandem, in conjunction with Israeli officials about this. There was no direct U.S. military support, but the Biden administration knew the sites. They got a heads up from Israel beforehand. So will everything kind of quiet itself, the tit for tat between Israel and Iran here? Is this wave over, so to speak?
Well, like, two questions there to answer. One is, was this disappointing? Let me just try to put that into perspective for a second. You had probably a third to a half of the Israeli Air Force in the air last night for hours on end, refueling. There were electronic warfare planes equipped with electronic warfare equipment. They had search and rescue planes, plus the fighter jets that dropped the ordnance. This was, I think, probably more than 10 hours total, 3 different waves of attacks, highly complex stuff we're talking about, and nearly 100% accurate, if not 100% accurate in terms of targets that were destroyed. So in that sense, I think, anyone looking has to be aware of the fact that this was a significant achievement for the Israeli Air Force. We're looking at a highly complex air operation, lots of moving parts, and the Israelis walked away without a scratch.
Yeah.
Now the question is, was that enough to chase in the regime? Do they feel as if, well, okay, wow, we now know that the Israelis can fly all the way over here and they could take out, let's say, clerical regime targets, right? They could take out some of the leadership. They could take out nuclear sites. They could take out any number of things now that a lot of that missile defense is gone.
Okay.
So I think it cleared the path for future attacks if the Iranians choose to go down that path. My sense, though, is the Iranians may try a one-off strike at some point in the near future. But here's what I think you need to remember. The regime is already fighting Israel on 7 fronts.
Right.
So what just happened last night was a response to the regime itself. They said, don't attack us again with ballistic missiles. But what they didn't say is this whole war needs to end.
Right.
That would have been the messaging that I would have delivered had I been the Israelis, because then what that means is, Iran, if you don't want this to happen again, you need to rein in Hamas, you need to rein in Hezbollah, you need to rein in the Houthis and all those Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria. That's how this thing actually gets to a quiet ending, which we're not likely to see anytime soon.
Yeah, because Jonathan, you talk so often about deterrence and reestablishing deterrence, and that word isn't really at the forefront of many conversations on all sides. So I thought that was, really quite something, after something like this happens, and we've seen it before, is deterrence necessarily reestablished here? And we do have some new video that we want to show before you answer that question. So this is, according to the Associated Press here, and it was footage verified by the AP. It shows the moments Iran's air defense worked to shoot down incoming Israeli missiles early into the morning there as well. So this is just a piece of new video. I hadn't seen it before. I thought it was quite interesting. We don't really get a good look, at least from the Associated Press or other outlets, inside of Iran, inside of Tehran itself. So quite striking here. Jonathan, your reaction to this video?
Yeah, I saw the video last night. I also saw a couple of scenes of fires on the streets of Tehran, I think, before the Iranian firewall shut it down. Look, I think all of that missile defense activity that you're seeing there over the skies of Tehran, none of it worked. Not one Israeli aircraft was shot down last night. And in fact, what we now understand is that all of those Russian-made S-300s all failed. They did not do their job, and the vast majority of them, if not all of them, were destroyed, according to the reports that we're hearing. That includes, by the way, the radar systems, the early warning systems. Really, I think the way to describe it right now is that the Iranian regime is naked as the Israelis consider what their next moves are. But I think, look, as far as deterrence is concerned, there is a question of whether the Iranians are deterred themselves from attacking Israel in the future. That is possible that they are deterred. They may decide this is just not worth it, right? Fighting Israel directly, it's not in our interest when we get our defenses hammered the way it happened last night. But the deterrence has to go farther than that as far as Israel's concerned. Again, you've got this ring of fire that the regime has set up all around Israel. These are proxies that have missiles, rockets, drones, They've got, foot soldiers. All of them are able to attack Israel, and this is what I think Israel is now going to have to wrestle with. They've all but destroyed Hamas. They are picking apart Hezbollah and weakening it, but it will take probably weeks or months to really seek an end state that they'll be happy with. And then you've got these other questions about the other fronts. Yemen, Iraq, Syria. Are they next down the line? That would lead to a long, painful, laborious war for Israel. And that's where I think the questions lie ahead.
All right, Jonathan, I could talk to you all afternoon about this. I have so many more questions. We got to get to some more of these political campaign rallies going on right now. Jonathan Schanzer, thanks so much for your time. Talk soon.
Pleasure.